here we talk about success, God-driven success, and how God is an unfair advantage. Yes, he is your cheat code to success. Imagine having in your corner, a God who knows everything. He knows what you should do next. He knows how tomorrow will look like. He knows what 17 years from now will look like. Imagine having him on your corner, telling you his plans and purposes. That's a wonderful advantage. I wish most of us Christians used it. I wish we took advantage of it and understood what it means to follow God's instructions in our career and in our business. And this is why we're doing this. We're studying the book of Proverbs. We're getting instructions from God himself, and we're getting practical changes, steps that we can take that will help us elevate. You see, I used to always think that God would work mysteriously. Let me tell you a story. This story is about my short career in basketball. I used to love basketball. I love sports and all sorts of things like that. And so I wanted to play basketball. I enjoyed playing basketball when I was in uni. I didn't play much of it, but it was something that I picked up at some point. I was not very good, and my height really disadvantages me, but it was more social, right? So I was like, I could play. I never went far in uni, but after uni, went into the industry. I was living on my own. I was like, hi, it's a good place to make friends and to just be there and figure things out. So I started to play basketball again. But I would notice that I was not such a good basketball player. You would not put me in the first team, honestly. I did have some basic skills. I think if I worked on them, I could do average. My talent was average. But I have resilience. I can run. I get fit really quickly when I focus on it. So I could have had a proper basketball career, but I didn't. You know what I would do? I would not train. And every time I had an opportunity to play in the game, I would just say, God help me play well. There was a girl who played very well. She would make shots, she would make moves, and you could see that she was a valuable team member. And I would say, God help me play like her. And sometimes I'd be playing and running, and people would pass the ball to me. I would fail to catch it. Sometimes I'd make a shot and miss it, and I'd be like, Lord, why didn't I miss that shot? I wanted to get better at basketball because I really did enjoy it, but I didn't want to practice. That's one thing. So I would pray. Not serious prayer all the time, but every time I got an opportunity to play, I'd be like, Lord, help me do well. Help me not miss a shot. And I was sincere in those prayers because I really did enjoy basketball. And I thought if I made those shots, I didn't have to be the top player, but I could just be a valuable player who the coach could say, if we need a change, if we need somebody to support somebody, let her in. But I never really got to that. So I quit eventually. You know what my problem was? My problem was I wanted spiritual help. I wanted God to magically give me talent. I wanted, when I was making those shots, the shots should just go in magically. They should just go in without me practicing and me getting uncomfortable, waking up in the morning and practicing. The girls who were top in the team I was in, were practicing a lot. You'd find them in the morning, in the evening, and I would be like, oh my goodness, they give too much time to this thing. But that's why they were shining when it was time for the game. That's exactly how it is with Christianity. Most of us Christians, because we have a Father who is supernatural and who is the source of everything, we think that he is the kind of dad who'll be like, okay, I'll just give you success. Because you prayed to me, because you are mine, because I have saved you and loved you, I'll just give you success. But God is a good Father. He's not that kind of Father who just says, because I'm rich, you are also rich, and it doesn't matter what your character is, it doesn't matter your behavior, your attitude, it doesn't matter your capability, I'll prosper you. God doesn't do that. He cares about your character. That's why. Let me take that again. God is not like that. He cares about your character. He cares about your attitude. He cares about your growth. He cares about your capability. He cares about your skill. He cares about you becoming a quality being. That's why he says Jesus came and we're supposed to become like Christ. He made us in his image. His image is not laziness. His image is not like free flowing, like going with the flow. His image is that of creativity, that of organization, that of order. You look at the world, you see the order, you see how everything is systemized. That is God, and that's what he wants from us. He has given us dominion in our different areas of life, different spaces, and we're supposed to work that dominion with the creativity and the wisdom that he has, so that when he looks down, he says, that my daughter, my son is doing exactly what I did. He's doing exactly what I did with the earth, creating systems, prospering, getting better, improving, learning, growing, not on your own with his help, but you are intentionally moving forward. That's something I didn't understand. And I honestly think if I understood that sooner in my life, I would have been like an A+ student, an A+ anything that I did. But I didn't have that attitude. I was one of those people who just wanted to go with the flow. I didn't want structure. I didn't want to be bothered. And so when I come on here and talk about all these things that God is teaching me, it's because God has changed my life. My life has become easier because of the structure He has helped me put in my life. I used to think I'll just be successful in my business as well. I thought I would just have a strong desire, and I would pray. When things were falling apart, I would pray. I remember going to my farm one time and everything had fallen apart. Everything had just burnt down, not burnt with fire, but there was this disease on the farm that it looked like somebody had set my farm on fire. I was walking there and going around the farm, praying. I did the whole Jericho thing, praying 7 times, declaring the goodness of God, declaring the promises of God, moving around that farm. But the farm was a loss that year. No plant that was burnt came back to life. I lost everything. Why did I lose everything? Because there was something I needed to learn in how I planted, when I planted. Agriculture was not a spiritual warfare. Agriculture was just science. I needed to understand science. I needed to understand structure. And because I refused to learn structure earlier in my life, when I started running a business, I had no structure as well. And so that was really hard for me. All this to tell you that when God promises us success, when God says He wants to uplift us, He's not going to do it in a magical way. He's not just going to lay hands, like you just dream and somebody will lay his hands on you and you just wake up and you're now very successful. Now you're wise. You're even surprised how wise you are. That's not how God works. And if you're waiting for that, you'll wait for a long time. If you're waiting for prayer time and you're praying and just hear, okay, invest in this and then move your money to this and then do this. Oh, that person you cursed out, that's fine, they're forgiven you. Oh, that mistake you made, now it's covered. Oh, that laziness you had, that business plan you didn't write, it doesn't matter, it is written for you. That's not how success works with God. And so today, as we go into Proverbs 13, let me highlight a few things that show us how God prospers His children. Number 1 is diligence. We're going in Proverbs 13, right? Because Proverbs 13 is fire. Proverbs is fire for every person who believes in God and who wants success. Even those people who don't believe in God but want success. They read through Proverbs and follow these principles and instructions and they prosper. I've heard so many testimonies of that. I am also a testimony of that. Following these instructions changes you, honestly. Helps you just become emotionally smart, physically smart, spiritually smart, financially smart. It changes everything. You can't not succeed. Really, you can't fail to succeed following these principles. So we are in Proverbs 13 today. And Proverbs 13, the first thing you have to understand is the first lesson or the first way God prospers His children is through diligence. Right? So Proverbs 13 verse 14 says, verse 11, not verse 14. Wealth gained by dishonesty will be diminished, but he who gathers by labor will increase. So God is acknowledging labor. It is Him in His word. He's acknowledging labor. He says, if you gain wealth by other means, quick schemes, other Bibles say get rich quick schemes. If you would follow those things, those shortcuts, you are going to have your wealth, but it's going to diminish. You know why? It's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. If you won a lottery today and you have that money, what are you going to do with it? It's not sustainable to think you just be winning a lottery every 2 months or every year so that you can sustain it. No, there has to be a system in place that allows you to prosper. This is why get rich quick schemes, even dishonest means where you're lying to people. Let's say you have a shop and you're lying to people about the quality of your products. If you do that consistently, your reputation will spread and people will refrain from buying from you. This is why wealth gained by dishonesty diminishes. But God is exalting a certain type of person, a person who is honest, a person who works hard. This person is working step by step, brick by brick. You're not jumping the gun. You're not trying to look for quick gains. You know that things take time. It's like a farmer who knows that if they plant maize, they plant corn, it needs 3 months before they harvest. But if they plant coffee, they're going to wait 5 years. You see, those are different games that they're playing. When they sell coffee, they'll make it big. When they sell corn, they'll make it, but not as big because of the type of crop they're growing, right? So God understands that a coffee grower needs to be patient. They know the game they're playing. They're not playing a quick game. They're playing a patient game. But if they continue to be diligent over the 5 years, their harvest will be tremendous. Even the person who's growing corn, if they continue to be diligent over 3 months, their harvest will be great. You see, so God honors step-by-step progress, and that's what he wants from us. This is why patience is a fruit of the Spirit. This is why self-control is a fruit of the Spirit. It's something God will cultivate within you as you read his word, as you spend time with him, that you should know that the great things, the amazing things require a foundation. If you're just going to build a house without a foundation, it'll be quick, it might be looking good, but when the winds come, when an earthquake comes, when anything comes, that house is going to fall apart. So the beauty will be gone. Foundation matters. So the world might not care about your foundation. If you're showing off and showing people that you're successful, they might not care about your foundation. If you're cutting corners and bad-mouthing people to get ahead in your career, it might get you somewhere to a certain extent. But there'll be a time when you'll be tested. There'll be a time when your lies can't hold anymore. When you have burnt all the bridges with your lies and dishonesty and cutting of corners. And now what are you going to do? This is why God is saying, wealth gained by dishonesty, wealth gained by quick schemes, wealth gained by shortcuts diminishes. But wealth gained by labor, by hard work, that lasts. And that's what we want. That's how God prospers his children. And if God has a plan, and he says, I'm going to prosper you through this 3-year plan. And at 2 years, you're done. You will not get to the 3-year plan. You're not going to get the 3-year harvest. You have absconded. You have defaulted, right? So you can't. So you have to be willing to partner with God this way, understanding the place of patience, understanding the place of diligence. If you're going to build an amazing career, you need to build a reputation. A reputation is not built overnight. You are going to have to work on it. And this is why people who are cutting corners, lying to the right person, they notice who is the person I should impress. They go to that person, they impress them. That person moves, you have nowhere to go. But if you build a reputation, if you work on it, perfect your skills, manage your network effectively, over time, you build such a reputation that even if management changes, even if the company falls apart, there'll be somebody who'll stand and vouch for you. I was talking to a friend who got a job here. They got a job in the UK, and it is quite hard to get jobs in the UK, especially when you're based in Africa. But this person was recommended. Somebody recommended them. They didn't even ask them. They don't even know who it was, but they just recommended them for a role. And then they were relocated. Everything was paid for. Their children, their family, whatever. Everything was paid for. And they just arrived. And I was like, that is the power of building brick by brick. There's no shortcut for that. When you're doing shortcuts, even relocating, people use shortcuts sometimes. And you find that people have lost so much money. Because when you are looking for shortcuts, you become desperate and you overlook so many things that require you to be diligent. Yeah, so how can you be diligent so that you can cultivate this wealth that God praises? How can you be diligent so you can have a foundation to the success you will have? Lasting foundation, so much so that your children's children will benefit from what you build. First of all, you must set clear goals. Second of all, you must pace yourself. Third of all, you must focus on quality. Set clear goals. What do you want from life? Not the goals I have, not the goals your parents have, your cousins, or your neighbor, or that person who was in your class. Sometimes you have goals and they're just goals that are influenced by what you are seeing. There should be goals that come from deep within. If you're going to start a business because you're seeing everyone starting a business, it's going to be hard to prosper in that business. But even if you prosper, when challenges come, you won't be able to sustain because there is no real reason why you're doing this thing except to show off. Right? So you should have strong reasons why you have specific goals, why you want that promotion, why you're staying in that company. Nothing should be for no reason. Know why you're doing what you're doing. Number 2, pace yourself. Understand you're just human, you're just a person. So there are times and there are seasons. If you're trying to plant over winter, over autumn, you're still planting, you're going to suffer because the seasons don't align. Winter is not time for planting. In winter, everyone is hibernating because they planted. I don't know what season you plant, but you harvest in summer. Wait, then you plant in winter? Maybe you plant in spring, I don't know. But there's seasons, okay, to this thing where you have to align with the seasons. You plant in the right season so that you can harvest in the right season. If you don't work with the seasons, then you have so many challenges. I just remembered when I was farming, sometimes I'd be like, I want to irrigate, so I'm going to plant in the dry season when there's no rain. It would work. But I would have to deal with so many pests which were flourishing at that time. So there was a reason why the plants were doing well at a specific time. When it was rainy time, those pests couldn't flourish. But in summer, those pests were everywhere. And so no matter what I did, I would have to fight double to defend my crop because I was planting out of season, right? So you have to understand that there are times and seasons. That's how you pace yourself after you have a clear goal. And the third thing is focus on quality over, I said focus on quality over what? Over speed. Yeah. Speed is amazing. Speed is exciting. But if you are just focused on speed at the expense of quality, then whatever you're building is going to be messed up. I like this quote, which says that it doesn't matter how fast you're running if you're running in the wrong direction. That thing is powerful, because most of us are running in the wrong direction and we say, how can I go back? I've gone so far. But if it is the wrong direction, what are you going to do when you get there? You'd rather stop and turn. It might take you longer, but you know you're going to go to the right place. Yeah, so focus on quality. Understand why you're doing what you're doing. Invest in the deeper relationships. Don't just be focused on the shortcuts, on the corners, cutting corners to just get ahead. Those things will backfire. It might not backfire in a year or two, but you want to have something 10 years from now. You want to look back and see an admirable career, admirable business 10, 15 years from now. You don't want to just have success for 5 years and that's it. You ruin your health, your relationships, your body, your reputation, everything. You don't want to do that, right? So those are the things you must do to get success God's way, in alignment with diligence. The second thing I had written is surrounding yourself with wise people. And that's Proverbs 13 verse 20. It says, he who walks with the wise will be wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm. I'm always sitting with this, honestly. I sit with it and at first I used to think, my friends, I have to think of my friends. But there are lots of things that influence us nowadays. We can be companions with people we have never met because of following them on social media. So you feel like you know them. But the thing is, when you're watching somebody a lot, you might think you know them. And it might not be like that. You might not take it seriously. But I don't know them. But there is something they pass on to you. I find myself having these mannerisms of people I'm watching or people I'm learning from, people who teach the Bible, people who teach business. I'm catching on their mannerisms, their jokes, their stories. They're influencing me. So now we would have to be extra careful with what influences us, because it's not just people who physically enter our lives. It's these people we follow. Sometimes you're following a gossip person, not because you like the gossip, but you like their hair, and you're forgiving the gossip, you're forgiving the lies they're sharing. Sometimes you're following a contentious person because maybe it's dramatic, their stories are dramatic, and they're just talking negatively about marriage, negatively about relationships, and you don't know that is influencing you. A companion of fools will suffer harm. So your companionship now has grown to just beyond physically, the people you're hanging with, but also those people you're following online, those books you are reading, those people you just hang out with because maybe you're working together and stuff like that. You have to be extra careful. So just look around you and think, what is the common thread? A character that is common in all the people you connect with. Because there's always that commonality. There's something that attracts you. And usually it's something that is within you. Maybe it's not revealed yet. Or it's within you that you need, it's already revealed. So it might be that you want to be successful, so you follow people who are hustling. It might be that you are broken, so you follow people who are broken. There's something. What is the common thread that you see in your physical friendships and in the people you follow online, the things that attract you, right? Is the common thread something that is good, moving you forward, or something that is going to pull you back? Also, check this out. What should be the thing that people come to you for? What is the quality in you that should bring people to you? So if you want to succeed, if you want to be connected with people who fear God and are attaining great things in their different careers and businesses, there are certain qualities they have. They're diligent, they're honest. Right? And so do you have those qualities? So challenge yourself and say, what kind of friend would I be? If somebody hanged with me, what would they start doing? You know, there are some people hanging with you and they start getting these behaviors from you. Are those behaviors positive or negative? Right? So you have to be intentional about that. Everything around us influences us for something. So be intentional about the influences you let in. Proverbs 12 verse 26 is powerful for that as well. I love it. It says the righteous should choose his friends carefully, for the way of the wicked leads them astray. Choose your friends carefully. Just choose your friends carefully. Choose those you follow carefully. Choose your connections carefully. Choose who you hang out with carefully. Be careful what books you read. Be careful what jokes you allow into your life, things that you laugh at. Be careful what you give your attention to, because it's planting something in you. And the third way God prospers. So in this case, how does then God use this to prosper you? Because when you are surrounded by a certain type of people, you're going to get their habits. If you are surrounded by hard workers, it's going to change you. It's going to change you. You come with your lazy attitude, but you're going to change. I heard a challenge a challenge. They were saying the fastest way to change a person is putting them in a community of people who do what they want to do. So you don't work out. Go into a community of people who work out on or offline. Just join that community and commit yourself to just seeing what they're doing. You'll find yourself working out. You find yourself eating healthy. Join a community of people who are praying. You'll find yourself doing that. So it's the fast way. God values community, and he allows, when you cultivate the community appropriately, he allows that anointing that is on their life, the grace that is upon their life, the habits that is upon their lives to be matched to you. This is why he says a companion of fools will suffer harm. It doesn't say a fool will suffer harm. It says the companion of fools. They're in the wrong place, just hanging out with the wrong person. They'll suffer harm. They'll be short whilst everybody's being short. They'll be, if you're pouring water, they'll all get wet. A companion of fools will suffer harm. So if you're looking for success, be careful your companionship in books, online, offline. And then the last thing we're going to look at is correction and discipline. Other versions say discipline, other versions say correction. It says that poverty and shame will come to him who disdains correction, but he who regards a rebuke will be honored. Tough that God is saying, if you want to prosper with him, be willing to take correction. Be willing to. I think one of the hardest people to get correction are people who love God, spiritual people, because sometimes you always think you don't understand the spiritual impact of this. But no, take advice, take correction. And sometimes the people who are correcting you and giving you advice are not even spiritual. Take it. If a person has a successful marriage, or even a marriage that wasn't successful, and they're telling you about marriage, listen. Before you judge it and say, well, I can't take that, listen. Take note. They might teach you something you shouldn't do. They might teach you something you should do. Life is not enough for you to make all the mistakes you need to make. So be a person who's open to rebuke, to correction. Be a person who's open to discipline, to being disciplined. He says God disciplines those he loves. If he calls you child, he will discipline you. So you sit there and someone tells you, the way you're dressing, this is what it's coming up. Don't be so defensive. Understand this is how the world works. I used to watch this show where they would take people and then they would do makeovers. And these people would be like very adamant about how they look and what it communicates. And so they would go there and say, no, it doesn't matter. I'm talented. They should take me seriously as a doctor, even though I look this way. And then I used to defend that. I said, yeah, it doesn't matter how you look like. Don't judge a book by its cover. But then I started to learn, you see, the problem is nobody has time. So if people just keep dismissing you, looking at you and dismissing you, they might be shallow, but they're impacting you. So if you're in a business and people are looking at you and they're dismissing you, are you going to make money? No. So you are standing there defending your opinion for what? What you want is to move forward. As a doctor, you want to be able to practice. As a business person, you want to be able to move forward. So opinions matter. Reputation matters. So when someone comes and tells you, you need to change your look, it will help you actually with your goals. It will help you look different. And actually, you don't have to change yourself. You just enhance it. Yeah, you already are spunky, you're already excited, you're exciting as a person. We're not changing that. We're just saying put it in a way that doesn't repel the very things you want. That was hard for most people on that show. That was hard for me as well, because I was like, I am the way I am. You can't change me. But the whole process of working with God is a process of changing you. So what do you mean you can't change me? All of us, as we work with God, we should come to a place where we look back and say, I don't recognize who I used to be. Change is a part of the process. And you can't change yourself using your own understanding, using your own correction. It doesn't work that way. You change yourself using feedback from other people, and it usually hurts because we're comfortable with what we are. We're comfortable with what we have built. Most of the times we love how we look, what we do, and whatever. But if somebody comes and says something, before you dismiss it, take note of it. Because a person who takes correction is a person who grows, is a person who gets to have real feedback. You know, sometimes you're running something, you don't know what is wrong, and people can comfortably just come and say, you're doing it wrong here and here. It will hurt, but you take that feedback and you improve. That's what success is about. But if you're going to be like an African politician who just wants yes men around them all the time, you will build that. I was reading a verse in Proverbs which said that a king who tolerates lies will have wicked people surrounding them. Like if you don't tolerate correction, you have yes men surrounding you, just like that. Only the people who are around you will just encourage you in your negativity, and you will not succeed. And you will pray all you want, but God will be like, you have surrounded yourself with the wrong people, and even the right people who are coming, you're not taking correction. You can't go far. So 3 things that I've seen that in Proverbs 13, God is using to prosper his children. Diligence. You have to do the work. You have to do the work. Brick by brick. Be patient. Have a plan. Focus on quality over speed. Do the work. Pace yourself, but you must do the work. Number 2, it's relationships. online, offline, people you see or you don't see, just those people you surround yourself with, opinions that you surround yourself with, they'll influence you in big ways. And number 3, it is, what did I talk about? Discipline, correction, being able to take feedback. It's going to build you up, build your career, build every aspect of your life, because people have a lot of experiences that can just build you. You will never have time to experience everything, right? So I find that very helpful. Now, sometimes I have to tell myself, like, shush, Mavis, listen, be quiet and listen. And sometimes I'm playing in my head, I'm telling myself, they might be right. They might be right. Because the Bible says, consider others as better than yourself. So if I'm there defending my opinion and I think I'm right, and somebody's saying something negative, my mind is already thinking, you didn't even do any research on it. How can you correct me? But I'm thinking, no, they might be right. They really might be right. So I keep quiet. I find that I calm down and I learn so much that way nowadays. So yeah, listen to God, let him prosper you, and this is his way. Thank you for joining me. Tomorrow we're doing Proverbs 14. Please read Proverbs 13 today and just have one scripture in there that is just speaking to you. Practice it. Yeah, reach out to somebody and ask for advice. Listen to them. Every day is a new day with God. He's going to change us, build us, and his name will be glorified. Thank you for joining me. Talk to you soon.